Hi, we are going to be talking some more about the research proposal and its introduction and the significance section of the introduction. So as we've been discussing the introduction, we've been funneling our information. We started with the background information, all that known information pulled from our references. We funneled it down to what the unknown or the problem or the need that we're trying to address. And then we talk about our general objectives of what we want to accomplish with our research. And then the last section of the introduction we're going to focus on is the significance. And the significance really gets on the impact of your research. So your significance statement is going to be your justification for the investigation. So this is very important. You're trying to get someone to fund your research proposal or let you do this research, so you need to justify it. It's why your proposal and the expected outcomes are important for your field, for the scientific community, and for society. So this is where you're going to think about that big picture why. You're going to think about, why do we want to do this? Why does anyone care I'm doing about this? This is going to be important for when you write your research paper in the fall. Usually when we start writing our research paper in the fall, I want you to start off with that significance and that big picture why. Why does anyone care? So I want you guys to really work and think right now about the significance of your research projects. When you're thinking about the significant, there's a lot of different reasons why your project might be significant. And it's different for everybody. So just because you have one significance for one person and their project, your significance might be entirely different. Maybe it has to do with the timeliness. Maybe you're doing the research at the right time, the right place. We finally have the right technology in place that we didn't have 10 or 20 years ago. Maybe it's a practical solution to a problem. Maybe the problem didn't exist before, but the problem exists now. And so this is going to be a solution to that problem. Maybe it's important to a wide population of people. Maybe it fills a gap in the knowledge that has been unknown in your field for a long time. Maybe it's going to improve current or prevent future wide-ranging problems. Maybe it decreases cost. This is always a big one, especially with engineering. We're always trying to find a way to save money. It might improve quality of life. This could be engineering projects, but it might be a lot of the medical research or the biomedical research. Maybe it provides a sustainable solution to a problem. Maybe there were solutions to problems before, but they weren't sustainable. They used a lot of resources. And this is actually something we talk about a lot now, is sustainability. Maybe it bridges a theoretical and a practical knowledge. So as you're thinking about your project and what your mentor has been telling you, think about these points. And are any of these points important reasons for why you're doing your project? Maybe there's only one point, maybe there's multiple points, but I want you to really think about this information and try to write a nice significant statement in your introduction. So now we've hit upon all the different parts of the introduction: the background, the unknown, problem or the need, the general objectives, and the significance. So the next step is, before you start just writing, I want you to write an outline. So hopefully you've been reading your literature, you've been taking notes, either on note cards or creating bulleted lists based on the different references you're reading. The next step is to create an introduction outline. And you can take these different parts of the introduction and make them the different parts of your outline. So start off, part one is going to be your background. And your next bullet in, you're going to start with your broad information and use, what from your references is a broad information about your field. Narrow it down. Your next bullet might be more specific information that you've obtained from some of your references. And then the next bullet, go to your unknown, your problem, your need. And hopefully your mentor has talked about this. If you aren't quite sure, you can't remember, you didn't take notes, come back to me and ask me. Maybe I can help you remember what the unknown, the problem, or the need is that you're addressing. Your next bullet point, what are your general objectives? Again, this is hopefully something you remember your mentor talking about. Maybe they've written it in an email. There's might not be a lot of information. It might be 1 or 2 sentences at this point. And then go to your significance. And again, you might be using references to justify why your project is important for your field, for the community, and for society. So this is going to be your next assignment, putting together an outline for your introduction. A great resource is your textbook. As you're trying to move through your introduction, and once you start writing, there are some fantastic tables in your textbook that help give you some nice transitional words to use when you're writing your introduction. So for example, table 22.1, potential signals for the background and significance sections. Go look at this table. It might help you with phrasing and what words to use as you move between the different sections of your introduction. And then let's look at an example before we finish up talking about the introduction. So here's an example. It starts off talking about the significance, it moves to the objective, and then it finishes with a hypothesis. And again, you may or may not be able to talk about the hypotheses. Maybe your mentor has given you your specific hypothesis, but maybe they haven't. But my hope is that you can see this increased specificity. That, your significance, understanding how metal pollutants affect crops and forests is obviously of great importance to U.S. agriculture. That's big picture, U.S. agriculture. Why do we care about U.S. agriculture? Because of people. We need to feed a growing world. Next is our objective. We wish to determine whether in areas of high metal pollution, such as those near smelters, plants are exposed to metal stress through direct airborne pollution or indirectly through accumulation in soil. So now you've gotten a little bit more specific in what is the question you're trying to ask. Metal pollution affecting plant growth. And then you're going to narrow it down more in your hypothesis. To investigate the hypothesis that current atmospheric deposition of nickel and copper aerosols is the dominant source of metal stress in vegetation surrounding Sudbury, Ontario, seedlings of Betula pepperifera will be placed at each sampling location. So look at the specificity in your hypothesis. Specific metals, nickel and copper. So your objective talked about metal pollution in general. But now you're narrowing it down to specifically nickel and copper, trapped in aerosols in the vegetation surrounding Sudbury, Ontario. So again, really specific about where, what location we're talking about. And then again, even more specific, the seedlings of Betula pepperifera will be placed at the sampling location. So they're telling you which plant is being investigated. So my hope is, as you're moving, you're creating your outline, you're taking your notes, you're writing your introduction, that you can start off broad, start off with the big picture, move to your objectives and get more specific, and then maybe even if you can provide a hypothesis or a research question that give even more specific details about what you're going to do. And this is going to link into the next section of your research proposal, which is your methods section.